Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Shem Wadash. And I want to say Shalom to Yakanakwath out there, pursuing this truth diligently. Coming at you once again with another lesson. And this is just a little quick one. I saw this earlier. It was in a little news section on YouTube. When you scroll through, sometimes it'll be like breaking news or developing news or popular news stories in general. And I saw this one, and I was like, yeah, that's a crock of shit, right? So who was this by? It doesn't say, however, it has whatever this brand is, all right? And it says, Trump says he's not putting U.S. troops on the ground in Iran. Complete bullshit. And they said, if you look at a little overview here, it says, with the Iran war set to enter its fourth week, President Donald Trump was pressed on whether he plans to send U.S. ground troops to Iran, saying, no, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I were, I certainly wouldn't tell you, but I'm not putting troops, right? No, I'm not putting troops anywhere. If I was, I wouldn't tell you. That's his ego that he has, right? So it says Trump weighs in on ground troops in Iran, and no, they already got ground troops. All right, they already got ground troops, and right here. And I thought this too, because every time, remember, we won the Iran war, right? We, as in, citizens of America in our unfortunate naming, all right? We don't really associate ourselves with it, but we do live here. So, it constitutes this whole place. We won! America didn't win, all right? It didn't win. He said, because a while ago, Trump said, he had, the war in Iran had been won or some shit. He's always, talking out his ass, his neck, all right? This guy, Kevin Carr, says, which means if he follows his normal pattern, we're definitely putting boots on the grounds very soon. It's like the same thing with Project 2025, all right? Project 2025, he knew nothing about it. He had nothing to do with it. And that's it. And then now we've seen that over 75% of it have actually been completed by Trump. So, bullshit, all right? This is the one I thought was the most interesting. This guy, Michael I.S., it says 2,200 Marines are on their way to the Middle East, but he ain't putting troops on the ground. And there's another one. He also said no new wars. He did say that. He said no new wars. No new wars. And then he, changed the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Anyway, this guy is a fucking asshat. He's a jackass. And this guy over here says, Christian Taggett says, I thought we won already. And then this guy says, we did win. They were going to have ICBMs in 6 months unchecked per the CIA director. So we did win. They were going to have ICBMs in 6 months left unchecked per the CIA director. And then this guy, Banned Speedrun, says, they said that exact statement for years. Go learn some history and get back to us. They've been saying that verbatim since the 2000s. And then, yeah, so that's it, man. It's, and America has this invincibility complex, okay? Let's go and look that up. It's simple, but I want to get the AI overview. Invincibility complex. Let's see what it says. An invincibility complex is a psychological phenomenon termed the invincibility fable, and a fable is a made-up story, it says, or danger and vulnerability, where individuals believe they are immune to harm, danger, or negative consequences. It's common in teenagers, which shows you that Esau is really in an adolescent state. It says, but present in adults, this illusion fuels high-risk behavior, including substance abuse, dangerous living, unprotected sex, because they genuinely believe that they are an exception to the rules of mortality. So, adolescent development, coined by David Elkind, is part of the personal fable. And that's what Esau is. They have a personal fable where they think it's not necessarily the exact same thing, but it's an invincibility complex. And Americans have it. It's not just the Edomites. The Americans in general have it, and that's part of their pride. All right. Habakkuk 2 and 5, dealing with Esau. It says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. And, yeah, so, is there anything else I want to get? I mean, we can see ultimately what's going to happen to them. It says, verse 8, because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. So, you know, he's a proud man. But we also know, pride, here it is, Proverbs 16 and 18, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So these guys are going to be completely wiped out. These guys are going to be completely wiped out. And who these guys are the Edomites. Okay, the Edomites. Regardless if they look like so-called white people or not, the Edomites, all right, who these people are going to be completely wiped out. And not all of them are going to look like so-called white people, all right? Some of them are going to look like so-called black people. Some are going to look like so-called Chinese, all right, and so on and so forth. Just like certain Jakes are going to look like white people. Certain Jakes are going to look like Chinese, so on and so forth, right? We've all been scattered into a melting pot, and, you know, because of that, our skin tone and our facial features have gotten a little bit heathenistic in some ways. All right, you'll see a lot of black folk have very squinty eyes. All right, which is not a normal trait for black folk, but you know, it's either Native American or Asian or you know, so on and so forth. And the same thing you'll see, you know, you got these white girls with these big fat asses and stuff, and they're not going to the gym. You know, well, you got to ask. You know, that's not a normal white girl trait. So, you know, where does that lineage lean back to? Okay, because white girls traditionally have flat asses. All right, I'm not talking about the ones that go to the gym and get the gym butt. All right, no. Okay, you have these ones out here that are almost Jake-like proportions, and you got to ask. You know, there might be a little bit of black in that family, right? So-called. So, or you know, you see, you know, their hair is overly curly, right? And it's not like white curly. You got to ask, you know, where does that go? And it could be something on the mom's side, and it could be null and void, or it could be something on the father's side, and there could be you know, a root there, all right, that leads back, all right, to Jacob. So can't go off of skin color. It's about lineage. It's about ethnicity. And ethnicity and skin color, while they try to say they're synonymous, they're not one and the same, all right? They are different. You can be of the same ethnicity and different skin colors, all right? For example, Mexican is an ethnicity, okay? It's not a skin color. And you can have two Mexicans, all right? One that's very, very dark and one that's very, very light. And both of them can go back to being Israelites. Or both of them could go back to being Edomites, okay? It's not about skin color. Ultimately, it's about ethnicity. And not ethnicity as a Mexican or a black ethnicity. Black is an ethnicity. It's a color, okay? Same thing with white. That's not an ethnicity. That's a color, okay? So where do those lineages go back to? Well, Mexican goes back to Issachar, okay? Black, all right? That goes back to either Judah, Benjamin, or Levi, all right? Southern Kingdom, okay? And white, true white, all right, as they call them, the true white people as they call themselves, all right, you know, are the Edomites, okay? Because you have some of them, I'm white, but here it is, you have you're not really white like they call themselves. No one's really white. White is the color of the screen right now. No one's really white, but the people that are actually quote-unquote white people, that's the Edomites, okay? So, you know, the Caucasus mountain dwellers, all right, the Caucasian individual, okay? Which, again, that's an ethnicity, Caucasian, which is, again, or European ethnicity. They're not always necessarily going to look pasty. They come in various different shades. You have some guys that are pasty. You have some Edomites have a little bit of a tan. Then you have those Edomites that are perpetually red. All right, you see it a lot with the Edomite men. They're perpetually red, okay? They can't hide their skin. They can't hide their lineage at all. All right, it says you came out red all over. Here it is. You're red. That's you. You don't see Jake walking around all red, right? So, And that's just how they are. They're another one that I wanted to get about Esau. Job 13:4, it says, "But ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value," which shows that they're liars, all right, and not only liars, but manufacturers of those lies, and they're physicians of no value. A physician is a medical practitioner, which shows you they can't heal you or help you for shit. All right, I would know. I've been, in and out of the ER, all right, and not in and out of the urgent care, but I've been, and they don't find shit, man. They don't find shit, you know. So they don't know what they're doing, especially not in Vegas. We have some of the worst fucking medical practitioners here ever. But yeah, they really don't know what they're doing. They're I went to a no, I think she might have been she could have been a Jake. She looked like a so-called Mexican girl. She was light though, but not that means anything. She looked like she could potentially be mixed, as they say in the world. All right, there's no mixed, but as they say, one white parent and one Mexican parent. Mixed, as they say in the world. But, yeah, Esau is just a bunch of liars, man. We're not going to put boots on ground. Sure. I bet boots are already on ground and nobody even knows it yet. You're deploying people out there. Anyway, you're a liar. But the good thing is, Proverbs 12:19, the lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. That didn't last very long. I mean, as soon as that video went up, people in the comments were calling your ass out. All right? And it's going to be for a moment, because within the next couple weeks, just you watch, all right, you're going to start seeing shit about boots on ground, okay? You're going to start seeing shit about boots on ground, okay? The other thing is they're talking about, there's a lot of talk about some false flag operations, all right? That's what they're saying, and I'm not going to say anything about it because, again, I'm not going to, if you just go on Instagram or Threads and look up false flag, I'm pretty sure you'll find out about, the things that are being talked about. I'm not going to talk about them on here because, Esau is already on my ass on YouTube like flies on shit or white on rice. So I can't really do, with certain conspiratorial claims they don't like on YouTube at all. So far they're fine with most of the scriptures because they used to be on our ass for that, but now they're really big on anything that's conspiratorial. Sure. Anyway, Ecclesiastes 12:10, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Does rust get better? No, it spreads. It gets wicked. It gets worse. It doesn't get better. Oh, look, that rust on that truck got better. No, it didn't get better. The only way it gets better is if you buff it out, cut around it, and put Bondo on the motherfucker. All right, you don't do that. That rust is going to continue to spread every time, as more moisture's in the air and more water gets on it. It's going to spread and eat away at that metal like a plague. Okay, and that's how Esau works. That's what his wickedness does. Okay. You can't trust him. It just gets worse and worse and worse and continues to spread. He never said, I'm doing pretty wicked. I need to stop. He's never going to consider that. Yeah. So, and then finally, Revelation 12:12. And this, you're going to start seeing this soon too. All right. This war is kicking off. All right. We're seeing this what's going on right now is hotter than when the Russia and Ukraine war first popped off, all right? Because now we got Russia and Ukraine, all right? We got Israel and Palestine. We got Israel and the United States and Iran, all right? And then on top of that, you got Russia wanting to help Iran, and you also have North Korea telling Iran specifically that, just say the word and we'll jump in, right? And we'll supply you and we'll also get involved, right? So that is the perfect brewing of a world war. That is the perfect brewing of a world war. And as a matter of fact, because remember, I don't know if you brothers and sisters remembered a couple months back ago, I asked chat, hey, what is the likelihood of, what's going on right now in the world turning into World War III? Fuck you. And it said unlikely. Okay, so how likely is World War, let me fix that. How likely is World War III currently. Let's see if it still lies. Public perception and expert analysis suggests there's a heightened yet not inevitable risk of major global conflict. Sure. It says with nearly 40% of experts anticipating a multi-front war by 2035. That's 9 years from now. Which no, it's gonna be sooner than that. And you know what's great? Look at that. World War III. Look at that. World War III. Boom. They know that the poster child for World War III is nuclear war. You can see World War III, also known as the Third World War, is a hypothetical future global conflict subsequent to World War I and World War II. It is widely predicted that such war will involve all the great powers, and it will, like its two predecessors, and the use of nuclear weapons or weapons of mass destruction, thereby surpassing all conflicts in scale, devastation, and loss of life. And it will. And it's going to be when Yahushua returns, man. And it's going to be glorious. And we can't wait. Look at this. In religious eschatology, it says some religious clerics point to a hypothetical World War III as a similar event to a prophesied Great War in Scripture, namely the Armageddon in Christianity. Boom! That's what you're going to be hearing soon, man. Lord willing, you're aware of the elect. We ain't going to be that afraid about it. But yeah, man, so all that's going to happen quick, right? Once this war really starts getting rolling. And like I said, we got a little bit of time, all right? And even as the apostles of Great Millstone say, again, I'm not in GMS, but that's who I learned from, all right? I try to teach the same to the best of my ability. If you brothers want to learn, I recommend you do the same. And you sisters as well. But, learn from them, of course. But as the apostles of Great Millstone say, notably Apostle Dahar, he said, dealing with people, how long to be? He said, look, if we're going to be here for another, 2-3 years, then I guess we're going to be here for another 2-3 years. Because they always try to say, what if it doesn't happen then? What if? And we already know it doesn't look likely to be here for that amount of time. But say we're here for another 5 to 10 years, I guess we're here for another 5 to 10 years. But the likelihood of 10 years is very, very low. 5 years lower, could it be? Possibly, but it ain't looking, likely. All right, 5 years. It's looking, maybe at max, a year or two, and that's not even. I mean, these last, couple years, every year is like this might be the year we're out. This might be the year we're out. This might be the year we're out because there's so much shit going on. We can't say exactly what year it's going to be that it pops off and it blows up and we're out, but it's. The pot is about to boil, okay? We see the bubbles coming up, so we know it's about to come to a rolling boil any moment, okay? Within this year, the next year, all right? It ain't looking likely for this year, all right? Now, because they still got to roll out the Mark of the Beast. Now, I do think by the end of the year, at least, we're going to start seeing some early prototypes or at least some more. All right, Esau's been taking their time with it. I said that last year as well. And we got a little bit more information last year about it. The biggest information I think in the last couple of years we got was 2024. And that was, a lot of big talk about Neuralink developments. So 2025 was a little stale. We saw some stuff. All right, there's always some stuff going on in the background with developments in it. But when I say we're going to see some stuff, I think within the next year, all right, or maybe even by this year, I think at least by the end of the year, we'll probably see some type of development with the Mark of the Beast. All right, because it's getting so hot now. They know they have a little time, and they gotta get shit rolling. They gotta get it wrapping it up. All right, because again, they think they're gonna pull off this NWO, which they're not. They're sorely mistaken, but they're going to try to get those chipping stations and shit. So I'm sure that they're getting... Right now, they're probably just dealing on the logistic side. They're probably trying to come up with a longer range frequency for the RFID. I've predicted in a way... Not predicted. I want to say I've... what's the word? My hypothesis... I hypothesized... All right? Not... predicted, because it's not 100%, my hypothesis for the last couple of years, because, a lot of people, it couldn't be RFID because it's so short range, and NFC is short range. Well, we do know that they're using NFC and RFID in, manufacturing and retail situations, but it's not a standard form of RFID. And NFC stands for near field communication, and RFID stands for radio frequency identification device, so RFID and NFC. Similar technologies, they are the same thing. All right, they're slightly different, but they're the same base technology. What if I get the NFC? It's not the RFID. The NFC and the RFID are synonymous with one another. All right, just slightly different technology. All right, that's all. Okay, but it'll probably be some combination of the tech or a new development. They have NFC, RFID. They could have some type of IFID. Internet frequency. Or HFID, high frequency identification, but something, BCID, blockchain identification, but where it's all connected to the internet. They could come up with different fucking technologies. All right, that's what they do. They come up with different technologies. All right, and like I said, I've hypothesized. Right, my hypothesis is that they're using. I think it was called RFID cloud technology for the tracking of retail, goods, and they're using it for that. Okay, but regular RFID is very, it's radio frequency. You got to be close, got to be closer. Now, the other thing that they could do with RFID, being that it's radio frequency, they could have a series of, like, a mesh network. All right, or essentially, it's. And the other thing is that generally RFIDs, they say it's usually not lithium cells. There's going to be some sort of lithium that's used generally as a battery, probably to push. All right, because it's going to need more power than passively powered, because RFID is passive. RFID chips are passively powered electronics. All right, which means that they draw from power in the environment, and that they're generally, when they're created, they have a little bit of power, and it lasts a very, very long time. But, and when, by the environment is that whatever they happen to be passed through, all right, for example, a phone scanning an RFID, it takes the power from the phone. It doesn't necessarily have a battery in itself, like a traditional sense, but it picks up on that, and it's powered essentially through radio wave. But I believe, all right, and this is just something I believe that, and this is just my... I'm a tech guy. I'm not big, smart, nothing like that. I just fuck around with computers and shit like that, right? I'm not big on coding or anything like that. I just have I don't even want to say that because that sounds proud, but in not a proud way, I would consider myself that the average person probably doesn't spend as much time on a computer or as technologically fond. It's like, I'm what they call a fucking nerd, right? Video games and creating mods for video games and, homebrewing systems for Dungeons and Dragons and shit. I like that shit, all right? Generally a nerd, so I would consider myself more proficient, and not a proud way. I'm not boasting. I don't want it to seem like that at all. I'm just saying that the average person with technology, and that doesn't mean anything when it comes to, my hypothesis on this, because at the end of the day, it's just a hypothesis. But knowing what I know, and again, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody. There's millions of people that are better than me, all right? I'm just saying with what I know about technology, the average person not having maybe the same level as that, is that so for Wi-Fi, they have things called mesh network. And essentially how a mesh network is, so you have a wireless access point, right, which is your router. Okay, that's how you get your Wi-Fi, which your Wi-Fi is usually connected to Ethernet into your, house. All right, which again is usually, usually have a technician come out from whatever service provider you have, and they hook everything up, and you have a wireless access point. You have a router, all right, and your router is what beams the internet signal to each and every one of your devices that's in your house. And there's that, or you can be connected hard linked through Ethernet. All right, Ethernet cable is basically like in the simplest sense, it's internet, but it looks like the old phone line, right? That's what it looks like. And so Wi-Fi, being a wireless access point, all right, unlike Ethernet's hard-coded, and you actually have to have that cord plugged into your computer or whatever device it's going through. All right, in modern sense, there are people that still are hard coded in. Most people just have that Ethernet link wired in, plugged in to the wireless access point, the router, and the router beams it throughout the house. Now, if you have a specially large house, okay, and depending on the router, whatever router it is has a certain amount of distance before the signal falls off. Okay, it's like the same thing think about like cellular service tab. You can see up in the top right by my battery where it says 29%. I have Wi-Fi bars, all right, which is at full because I'm about maybe 10 feet from a router, all right. And then after that, you see I only have 2 bars of 5G data, all right, networking, all right. That means there's not a tower that's super, super close. The nearest tower is decently far, okay? So my signal's starting to drop off, okay? So, but if there was another, a tower, all right, that was attached to that tower, all right, it would be able to extend that signal, all right? It would, of course, push further, and I'd be able to get better service, right? So, or depending on if they're doing like satellite transmission. There's a whole bunch of different stuff, which usually I think, I'm not too good with like phone data. I believe most of it is satellite. But anyway, with Wi-Fi, you have your router and it drops off after a certain point like that. So, sometimes if you have a very weak router, all right, you'll see that you'll be in like the bottom part of your house and you'll be, you only have 2 bars of Wi-Fi or something. Or if you go outside and you're mowing the yard and you're, going on your phone, your Wi-Fi drops down to maybe 1 or 2 bars because it's, you're outside. But you can do what's called a mesh network. And essentially what it is just these tiny little access points that essentially act as forwarders, okay? Think of them as how like in the 80s and before, you would take a can, all right, 2 cans with a string, and you would say, hey, and you'd put it in another room, and the other person would be able to hear you talking to the string in the can. You'd put the other side to your ear, the other person would talk through it. Well, essentially, it's a series of those, and your internet is saying, hey, here's this, and then, you plug them in through, generally, I think they're just plugged in through your socket power, right? Just plugged in right to the wall, and your Wi-Fi will connect to a halfway point. You have your Wi-Fi router upstairs, all right, and it can't necessarily reach to the garage. We'll use an example. So you'll have one upstairs, all right. You'll put part of your mesh network, all right, block, all right, one of your webs essentially, and you'll put that in, I don't know, the kitchen, and that'll extend it down to the kitchen, and you'll put one a little bit closer, and then you'll get full signal in the garage, all right, and you'll have one in the garage, and you'll be able to reach because it's worked as a mesh. Now, all of that, Slovakia, I wanted to explain that, okay, to make it understandable. All that to say that it is under my hypothesis, and again, this is not prophecy, this is not in the Bible, this is just something that I think is probably how it's going to work because it makes technological sense to me, is that they're probably going to do some type of RFID mesh network. That's what I'm guessing, is that you're going to have one person, okay, or they'll make it to where, they're already going to have checkpoints, right? There's another thought, okay? That's, let me go to Draw Online, okay? Draw Online. Let's find one of these things. Sketch.io, okay? So, here's my hypothesis on a couple different ways it could happen, okay? You have a person here, all right? That sucks. 1 minute. Okay, you have a person here, right? And they got the RFID. So I'm going to just type R. Okay? And then you're going to be in close proximity to another person that has that R. All right? And then you're going to be in close and then, same with an R. Okay? So all these people have RFID, okay, in their hands. So they're going to pass by someone that has it, all right? Another person that has it, potentially, all right? And, they're going to have phones and stuff on them, so it could potentially be picked up through that. And then it could be, linked like that, and then when this person checks in, all right, at a checkpoint, all right, all these people's data that they came in contact with will upload. It's basically like a street pass for the 3DS, right? You walk by people, it can pick up that you are by other people with RFIDs, and then data can essentially get transmitted back. Another way that it could be, okay, that I think it could potentially be, is you have RFID, all right, boom, you go to a checkpoint, okay, because there will be RFID checkpoints. Or for example, checkpoints, certain areas you have to get past. Stores are going to be the big ones where they're going to have scanning, and you get scanned, right? And what this does is essentially puts a exclamation point, all right, like, oh, they've checked in. And then this having, Wi-Fi, all right, we'll put it like that. This having Wi-Fi is essentially going to beam it to headquarters, all right, whichever they have. And they'll probably have, multiple different ones where they do that. Okay. Now again, that's just a couple different ideas how they could potentially do it. Potentially, all right, as because RFID would, it's near field. Well, even if it is near field, okay, you go there, boom, you scan, and RFID is read-write technology. So they read, okay, May 3rd, all right, 2027, all right, at 2:45 p.m., all right, Marquise Darnell Brown, okay, went and checked in, all right, at the local Target, okay, and he bought pork, a pack of Newports, and some fucking Cavassier, I don't fucking know, and standard Jake order, right, and so they upload that, boom, bing, up the system, all right, and it also writes that data to your chip, all right, and said, one of the big things is that the digital dollars, it's going to also be carbon tracking. So, you bought too much meat, all right, or you bought too much meat. It's going to be reading and writing. It's going to be reading and writing. So anyway, like I said, a couple different ways. Is that going to happen? No, that's just my slightly educated, all right, more than the, average person out there that doesn't know about technology. And I'm not saying in a proud way. I'm just a regular fucking asshole. All right, I'm nobody important at the end of the day. But I'm just a guy that spends entirely too much time on the computer. That's all. So with that, there's a million different ways that they could do it, man. So I'm expecting to see some type of development. I know Trump's working on this whole. I think I heard something about him behind scenes working on a special type of cryptocurrency or something. I don't fucking know. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on, right? Either way. But Revelation 12 and 12, we know they're going to have to be getting it on a roll here soon, and it's going to be bad. So Revelation 12 and 12 reads, "Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil," that's Esau, "is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time." Esau understands a lot of things. Not the regular Edomite at the baseline, but these, ones that are higher up. All right, the higher level Edomites that happen to be in positions of power. All right, the princes and rulers of this, this wicked world that we're in currently. They know that they got to get with it, man. They got to get with the program. They got to start rolling with it. So if you don't think there's scientists in the background rolling shit and doing development on the mark of the beast, then you'd be sorely mistaken, man. Because they are. We're just waiting for it when it's going to be debuted in some capacity. And we know, all right, as the apostles and elders of Great Millstone have also said, that they're gonna start with these influencers, man. They're gonna make it look good. All right, and I mean, if you really think about it, I'm gonna get ready to close up. I'm just gonna ramble a little bit more. But if you really think about it, look how they had Hydro Flask, okay, that was a big marketing stunt, and everybody on TikTok started using Hydro Flask, and then all the girls wanted to go and get Hydro Flask. The first people that are going to get the mark of the beast are going to be women, okay? It's going to be these women. It's going to be a lot of these women, and because women are just like in the garden, all right, with Eve and the serpent, women are very easily persuaded. Tell them it's something they gotta have. Tell them it's something that all the other girls have and they don't have, and they're not gonna be like the other girls if they don't get it. Tell them they're not gonna be as popular. All right, try to use it for beauty standard. Do some other stuff, and they will run out and get it immediately. All right, another one of the biggest takers that it's gonna be is gonna be single black women, all right, with children. Well, I got to do it for my kids. I got to do it for my kids, all right? And then that's going to happen. Another one is going to be, anybody with children, all right? Anybody with children, that's going to be another temptation, all right, for those, because you're going to see your kids starving, and a lot of people aren't going to be able to deal with that, okay? Now, if you're elect, you might have to go through that, but you're going to hold on to that saying, no, the Lord's got us. We just have to wait, okay? And guess what? Some of you brothers, your wives might bug out and say, fuck this. What are we doing, Darnell? What are we doing? You gonna let the kids and me starve? You ain't no man. You a bitch. You a pussy. I'm gonna go and take the damn thing since you so damn scared, right? And I ain't gonna give you shit. You ain't gonna eat. And guess what? She's gonna go get all that food, come back, and then guess what? Something's gonna happen. She's gonna die, and then you gonna have all that food for yourself. Right? There you go. So yeah, man, it's a whole conundrum. It's a whole conundrum. And then the other people, most frequently, are going to be people that are addicted. All right, people that are addicted to drugs, people that are addicted to alcohol, people that are addicted to cigarettes. Okay, tobacco in general. All right, people that are addicted. Okay, because they're gonna have to go and get their fix, man. All right. So yeah, the Lord, He knows who is His people and who aren't. All right, and He's gonna help out who His people are. And He's not going to help those who aren't. Okay, but Esau, in the background, they know that shit's getting a little hot. All right. Donald Trump, there was already a report. He's scared, man. He's scared. Because all his little games that he usually does to scare away these countries, Iran ain't having it. All right. They actually told him, they said, wars are fought on battlefields should be news because the leader of Iran criticized Trump. Well, I can't find it. Basically, Trump was trying to do the big scary on him, and he basically clapped back and said, "Wars are fought on battlefields, not online." So yeah, but yeah, that's where we're gonna close out. All right, that's all I have to say. I'm just rambling on now, but yeah, Lord, what was edifying? We're gonna close out there. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakak. Shalom, you brothers and sisters out there. Keep enduring, keep the faith. We're almost out of here. Till next one, Lord willing. Shalom.